Did you say bye fight fans too?
Yeah, I said hey fight fans.
And then
bye fight fans.
Radio Rahim here, bleaching my veins, getting rid of this Rona. If Floyd Mayweather were to come out of retirement and face Lomachenko at 140 pounds, that would be the fight I would most want to see.
Were you not entertained? Were you more entertained by KSI and Logan Paul or Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor?
I was Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, hands down.
What?
Is picking a tune-up fight after COVID-19 considered ducking? And this is coming from Soccer Training Club. No. No, they're not properly training. Just because you have all the time on your hands does not mean that you were properly training. A lot of these guys, you got to remember, a lot of these guys don't have the financial means to have their trainers like next door to them at their beck and call. These guys are maybe sparring, maybe hitting the mitts with some person, not their trainer, and it's a completely different ballgame. So I do not think that it's called ducking if they want to take a tune-up. I respect people who want to go straight out and take those fights, but I would absolutely not look at it as ducking.
Anybody who would be accused of ducking is in the upper tier of elite fighters anyway. And it's not like if they open the doors and the gates to our prison on Friday, they're going to need to be fighting the following Saturday. There's still going to be a build-up. There'll still be time to train. You could probably have 4 to 6 weeks still, especially if it's a main event top-tier fight. If you come out of this as one of those guys where people care whether or not you can duck someone, I think the onus is upon you to do as much training as you can during this time. And you shouldn't be out of shape. You just need to prepare for your opponent.
It has nothing to do with whether or not they want to train. Some don't have the ability to do so.
Michelle, the people who don't have the ability, we're not talking about them ducking anyway because they're not in a position to duck anybody. Those are the guys who are going to be the tune-ups.
A lot of them aren't leaving their homes and joining their trainers somewhere during this time. Like, a lot of people are very sensitive to this. Some are a little bit more lenient. Some are okay with being away from their families and training, and they're cool with it. Other people are like, absolutely not. I'm not leaving my house. I don't even want to leave my house to go get groceries.
Yeah, again, I don't see why they would not be in shape. I'm not saying that you're prepared for the opponent. You're still going to have to fight camp.
Okay.
But if you sat around for fucking 2 months eating donuts and watching TV and drinking beers, and then the gates open, you're like, oh, I need a tune-up. No, you don't need a tune-up. You need a trim down. You need some Slim Fast. You've been sitting around not being a professional, letting yourself balloon up, and now you need to lose weight.
Talking about the ones who are letting them balloon up. We know who those select few are, but I'm talking about the others who don't actually have all the training. So what you're basically saying, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're basically saying that when they announce the fight, let's say we are back in, let's just say August as a guesstimate, right?
Okay.
Let's say we're back in August. You're basically saying what the fight can get announced against, a solid opponent right away, but they'll still have 2 more months to train.
A tune-up fight is like a training fight. Like, what they want to do, a guy who wants a tune-up, is to not be fully in shape, not be fully prepared, get a check, get back in the spotlight, fight some guy who can't beat him. That's what a tune-up is. And then have yet another camp to get in shape for an actual elite fight. What I'm saying is Lomachenko is at home, Devin Haney's at home, Lopez is at home. These guys, if you give them 6 to 8 weeks, not 6 to 8 days, but 6 to 8 weeks, some maybe even on the outside 8, or 4 to 6 weeks on the outside 8 weeks, any professional fighter, even after COVID, should be prepared to take on, and if anything, it's as level a playing field as you could possibly have because nobody's been fighting. Your opponent hasn't been doing any fighting either. And before, there was stagger, how long has it been since your last fight? Who did you fight? What was the condition? How hurt were you? Everybody's had time to heal. Everybody has had the same amount of time away from the world, and you have the exact same amount of time to prepare for the next fight. I think it'll make fights way more interesting, if anything. But fighting a bum, you have to excuse the term, but that's who they're going to be picking, bums and easy wins, and then making us wait yet another 6 to 8 weeks before you fight somebody good. And then what about the guys who fight somebody good off the bat? We'll go right back to what the problem was before. We have a fresh start for everybody. Start getting ready. My mom always told me, be ready so you don't have to get ready. Everybody knows what their job is. Stay at least ready to start camp.
I agree with what you're saying. I'm not saying, I'm not approving of people letting themselves go and they're not trying to train or trying to stay prepared, as at any moment, the gates can be opened. I understand that. But overall, if we're talking about like they want to make a fight in the next month and a half, like 4 to 6 weeks, we're probably, let's say we open in August. We're probably not seeing a really good fight until the end of September, early October, because the fighters are going to, take that additional time. But we are going to see a lot of fights from the get. Just a lot of random fights, because that's what we're going to get from the situation. It is what it is. So I see what you're saying, but at the same time, I disagree. And I actually think that it's okay if we do get,
Let me phrase it one way that maybe we'll agree. Maybe we'll find a way to find a common ground, right? The elite fighters, all right? I'm talking main event fighters, world champions, number 1, number 2 contender types. Those guys should come out of quarantine fighting each other. Those guys all have the ability to stay in shape. They may not be able to fly their trainer in or have like camp like Canelo where the whole property is dedicated to your training. I get that. But they all have gyms in their homes. They have resources to remain in shape if you give them 6 to 8 weeks to be prepared to fight each other. But then the lower tier guys who may not fit in that category economically or even marquee status wise, they're just not of the top echelon of boxers right now, they should fight each other. And that's where their tune-up should be, because if the top tier guys who are able to stay in some amount of shape and then can immediately pay for their camp 6 to 8 weeks are picking the low tier guys to fight, those low tier guys don't have a shot at all, and they're going to be taking the check because they're thirsty for money. They weren't able to really stay in shape. They didn't have the same resources, and now they're going to be fighting mismatches. And we're going to have, what do you want, mismatches into 2021 until we can start getting some even match fights in February or March of 20, because that's what's going to happen. We should hold these guys accountable.
Okay, here's a comment from somebody. This comes from Adam Oliver. He said, tune-up fights should be banned, period. If you're good enough, then fight the best.
I don't even know how you... I mean, I feel his sentiment. Obviously, that is not there's no practical application for that. Who ends up deciding what's a tune-up and what's not? We all know what it is. But at the same time, you got to give a guy a shot. That's, that upsets happen too. A lot of stars have been made from so-called tune-up fights. A lot of assumed tune-ups turn out to derail everybody's plan and end up becoming the number 1 contender or the world champion when a guy was just being put in as an opponent so a guy could get ready for the fight we're all waiting for. There's a laundry list of boxing history that supports that. So I'm all for the guy getting the shot who is the underdog tune-up but has a chance to fight a champion that he might otherwise not get. Just not now. I don't want a whole round of that shit when the doors finally open up. I have 20 mismatches on my calendar.
I hate to break it to you, but that's exactly what's going to happen. Sorry.
You say bye fight fans too?
Yeah, I said hey fight fans.
And then
Bye fight fans.
Radio Rahim here, bleaching my veins, getting rid of this Rona. If Floyd Mayweather were to come out of retirement and face Lomachenko at 140 pounds, that would be the fight I would most want to see.
Were you not entertained? Were you more entertained by KSI and Logan Paul or Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor?
I was Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, hands down.
What?